Movies. We watch movies. You listen to us talk about movies that we watched without you.
It's beautiful.
Thanks. Now this is podcasting.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Super FilmsCast 64. This is episode 30.
We did it, you guys.
We did it. We can stop now. This is it. This is the last one.
Trey got us some hilarious black balloons.
I did.
That is making fun of how old we are.
Yeah.
We're
I got you an
30.
over the hill cards, you know? Just really funny. I got you some like penis pills. What other gags did they give in 40th birthdays?
Fake dentures.
Yeah.
A walker.
A walker. All that kind of stuff.
Okay.
AARP.
Yeah, yeah, all that fun stuff. This is 40. That's the new podcast name. This is 30.
Yes.
Yeah, so how you guys been doing? What you been watching this few weeks or past week?
Oh man, Trey, I've been watching a lot of things.
Yeah?
Yeah, I finished season 1 of The Good Place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
You should watch at least to the end of the first season.
Okay.
It's worth it. And it's easy to watch.
Mhm.
It's 13 30-minute episode, 20-minute episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's amazing how quickly you can get through an entire season when you just sit down and watch it, Trey.
yeah.
Thanks, Spencer. I'll try to watch it now since you gave me that word of wisdom right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I watched that. So that's pretty good.
Mhm.
I watched Jim and Andy,
Yeah, I did too.
the Netflix documentary about Jim Carrey portraying Andy Kaufman
Mm-hmm.
in Man on the Moon, and I really liked it a whole lot.
It was it was a very interesting look into the mind of Jim Carrey and how it related to Andy Kaufman. And I didn't expect it to be that. I expected it to be more like a documentary as far as what happened on set. And it did do that, but it was more of, hey, how did Andy Kaufman influence Jim Carrey, and how did Jim Carrey, was his mind working? How does his mind work? It's
Right.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a lot about kind of what makes you who you are and what makes, I don't know, things valuable to people.
Yeah.
And kind of a lot about how you'll never be happy no
Exactly.
matter how powerful and good you are at the
Mhm.
things you do, you will never truly be happy. So there's
Mhm.
a good little inspiring message
Good
there
message.
for all the kids.
Gotta check it out.
It's good. It's a good one. And there's no other. Only person being interviewed is Jim Carrey. I thought it would be other interviews, but it's only Jim Carrey.
No, it's Jim Carrey,
Yeah.
and then they talk to people on set
Yeah.
at the time.
Mm-hmm. Which I think Andy Kaufman's buddy, who was one of the, I think he's kind of a piece of crap.
Bob
Yeah,
Zamuda.
he's kind of a piece of crap. a little bit.
The scene where he goes to the Playboy Mansion is
That's
fantastic,
hilarious.
though.
That's hilarious.
So,
But I think he thinks he's, I don't know. And he brought up a good point that like everyone thinks that they were the most important person to Andy Kaufman, and I think
Right.
he thinks he's the most important person.
Who's the real famous lounge singer that ran with him?
It was him.
Tony Clifton.
Yeah, Tony.
No,
Clifton
that was someone
him.
else. Tony Clifton's his own person, I
Yeah,
thought.
it is. I don't know who you're talking about, the lounge singer,
Yeah, Tony Clifton.
Yeah,
He's a lounge singer, right?
but that's who he is. Andy Kaufman is
Wait,
Tony
what?
Clifton. Yeah.
Are you pulling my chain?
No, that's the whole bit.
Tony Clifton went to the Playboy Mansion.
Yeah.
Tony Clifton.
Tony
Yes.
Clifton did, and then Jim Carrey showed up, and Hugh Hefner was very confused. And probably
Right.
the best
Well,
the best
why
scene.
was
in it.
why
Yeah.
was Hugh confused? Okay, never mind. We can get past this, but I need to watch that this week.
Yeah. Yeah. It's if you're a fan of Andy Kaufman or just acting, in general, it's
sure.
really good.
Yeah.
Or Jim
And I think
Carrey.
it goes outside of acting. I think it goes a lot into just kind of fulfillment
Yeah.
in general and kind of blazing your own
Mhm.
path,
Mm-hmm.
sort of things. So I
Indeed.
watched that. That was very good. I would suggest it. And then I
Not
saw
too long either.
No.
Only an hour and 30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I saw Murder on the Orient Express.
Okay.
Which was very bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They it's an obvious kind of book to movie thing where there's a billion characters
Mm-hmm.
and they can't, where like in the book everyone would get a chapter where he interviews every single one of them. It's a 5-minute little snippet, if
Mhm.
that. And so then you get a whole bunch of crossover. And then there was a bunch of stuff that was not in the book that they decided just to throw. They threw in this weird like love story between the main detective dude and no one, just a lost love.
Lost love.
That sells.
Does. Sex sells.
But it never paid off.
Mm-hmm. It was
Uh,
just sort of something he was looking for, maybe, or...
Yeah, it's a very average movie.
Okay.
And I could see going and turning your brain off and being okay. It wasn't bad. It just it was a lot. It was trying to be a lot and didn't have enough time, but also was not interesting. So
Okay.
that's what I've been watching. And on top of that, Star Wars, which we're
Oh.
doing our Star Wars episodes 2 and 3
Yes.
reviews a little
Mhm.
later on.
Yeah. Spencer.
Yeah, so aside from Star Wars, I watched, Lexi and I saw Lady Bird
Okay.
this week.
How was that?
It was great.
Yeah?
Just a coming of age story, but it's set in in 2002 in Sacramento, California, and just the way that they kind of take caricatures of the different types of high school students that you'll find.
It's a mother and daughter story, right?
Mother and daughter story, definitely.
Uh-huh.
But it definitely focuses on their relationship, but it also just focuses on her finding herself. But I didn't know what to really expect out of it going in, but it's hilarious and really genuine, and the characters are fantastic. And
Mm-hmm.
just
How do they do 2002? Like, that's how I want to... Well, I think it's easy. Not easy, but you can always... I think as technology... I guess you just have to get like old cell phones or something.
Well, yeah,
but-
there's like she gets her first cell phone.
Mhm.
There are like flip phones. She gets her first cell phone towards the end of the movie, and there's like a lot of scenes about her like applying for colleges and stuff. She wants to go to the East Coast.
Yeah.
So she's talking about, well, like, are you sure you want to go over there? You know, talking about just like terrorism. And
Oh,
she's like-
yeah.
Like, yeah,
There'll
probably not as
never be
many-
a black president.
There's-
Wink.
Oh,
There, that's actually they say that
Oh, really? Oh.
Ugh.
a couple
Oh.
times.
Ugh.
Okay.
No, it's really good. I would highly recommend it. I think it's getting it had a really limited release
Yeah.
at first, and it's getting a broader release
Mhm.
now.
Okay. Cool.
What-
Anything else?
That's pretty much it.
So I watched the season finale of season 4 of Nathan For You.
Okay. Yeah. I think
Really good.
We
Yeah.
talked about that last week.
Mm-hmm. We did?
Yep.
You talked about it. I hadn't seen it yet, but then I watched it.
I'm pretty sure we watched.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it. I could be wrong.
You could be.
We texted about it, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. No, I remember telling you about it, but I never talked about it on air.
Okay.
Seeing it. It's really good. The line between fiction and scripted is very vague.
It's never been blurrier, that's
No,
for sure.
like I don't know if this is real or because some parts seem really genuine and some parts just seem hilarious. Like the guy who does the facial like aging technology
Yeah.
and
Flies with 2 printers.
yeah,
It's
and
good to have a backup.
Mud too.
Yeah. Mud 2
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah. I think the fact that there are parts in the finale where Nathan is doing stuff for himself,
Yeah,
really, like obviously he's a little bit self-serving a lot of times, but being overtly doing something for himself, that really starts to make you question believe the authenticity of it.
mm-hmm. I thought what was it supposed to be funny when they were making out, him and the girl?
100%.
That was hysterical.
Yes.
Like what the? It was so funny.
It was so I watched it twice, and the first time it felt like a 30-minute
Yeah,
sequence.
yeah.
It felt
Yeah.
so long.
It was really long and awkward to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really good. It's a really good watch, and I do want to watch the rest of that show. 'Cause
Good.
it's interesting.
You should.
Yeah.
It's a great
And
show.
it's funny because I keep telling people about it. Like, oh yeah, I love the episode where they'll give me an episode synopsis, and then I'll ask another person. They'll give me a completely different episode synopsis. It seems like there's just so much there.
There's a lot of really interesting, really creative, really fun stuff that he's
Mhm.
done.
Yeah. I also watched Jim and Andy.
Yeah.
We already talked about that. I watched Brigsby Bear finally.
Yeah.
Yes.
That might be one of my favorite of the year so far. It was just so genuine and so positive. It was a very positive movie.
Right.
It is.
It kind of touched me as a guy who likes to make movies too with friends too. Like some parts remind me just of going around and doing dumb stuff with your friends with the video camera, and I liked how there were certain scenes that kind of subverted expectation, like when he goes to visit his I guess not dad, but Mark Hamill's character, and you think it's gonna be this big scene where they're kind of he's like apologizing, and then he's like, "Why'd you do this?" And no, he just wants voiceover.
Yeah.
For
Right.
Oh, that's cool. That of course he would want that. Of course he wants that.
Yeah.
Like it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's really sweet. It's not. I thought it was gonna be more screwball, more like silly, and it wasn't that silly. I mean, it was funny, it was silly, but like it wasn't outrageous.
Yeah, it kind of sets up as a movie where the character goes through a journey and changes and stuff like that. But he doesn't really change. His motivations stay the same from minute one to the very end, and it's kind of everyone who's around him who changes.
Yeah.
And so that's a way where it's kind of subversive, and where everyone kind of bends to his will of, no, I like Brigsby, and I want to do this Brigsby thing.
Yeah.
And everybody eventually just kind of gives in to his crazy obsessive behavior.
Yeah.
Quit trying to change me. I'm not going to change. This is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a really good movie. If you haven't seen it, Amazon. I did rent it on Amazon Prime.
How about that?
How about that?
Wow,
Bravo, Trey.
Yeah, I actually didn't steal this one. Might buy the DVD. Who knows? Maybe give them some bucks. They deserve the money. So yeah, that's what else I've been watching. I think that's about
Spencer,
it.
did you change your? No, you're still Coach Chucky
No,
on Twitter.
I changed my Twitter handle to Brigsby1 because I was trying to figure out how I can buy one of those shirts.
Yeah.
People at the Angelica, when they were running it, had Brigsby Bear shirts, and I really wanted one. So I changed my Twitter handle to Brigsby1 and tweeted at Kyle Mooney, like, hey, where can I get some Brigsby merch? Figured if I was Brigsby1, I would stand out amongst the horde of people asking about Brigsby merch. But no response.
Oh, no. Well,
Unfortunate.
don't ever meet your heroes, Spencer.
Don't ever tweet your heroes either.
Don't ever tweet your heroes.
That's actually a good policy. I can get behind
don't
that.
do that.
Yeah.
I've done it a few times and it's been good. Sometimes just no response. That's fine. I've never been mean. That's my policy.
Yeah,
Don't
why
be a
would you
jerk.
be mean to your heroes?
Yeah, you don't want to be mean to your heroes, and they won't want to be nice to you.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah. They won't ever want to meet you
That's true.
and put you in their movies.
Mhm.
Martin Scorsese put me in a movie. Anyway, this today marks part 2 of our Star Wars. You want to actually, before we do that, let's do our bet the box office.
We'll
movie,
talk
right?
about
Yeah.
it a little
We
bit.
don't have to do this week.
Well, yeah. So this week, Justice League #1, as expected, 94 million. Wonder came in second, which none of us
Really
picked.
No.
I didn't think it would.
It's kind of a Thanksgiving gear up to be thankful
Family
kind of movie.
So that brought in 27 million.
Wow.
Thor came in third at 21 million.
We lost there.
Well, we had Thor at second.
Yeah.
And then in third, I had Daddy's Home 2. Daddy's Home 2 was the next one.
Okay.
Followed by Murder on the Orient Express. So now, year-to-date standing, Spencer 4, Adam 2, Trey 2.
Mm-hmm.
This week, coming out. This is a really weird week. Because you'd think that there'd be a lot of movies coming out, it being Thanksgiving and all, and there's not. But there's a lot of small movies that are getting some small release or an expanded release. So coming out this week, Coco, the Pixar movie.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing some good buzz on that.
Darkest Hour, which is the Gary Oldman thing. I think that's only going to be in a few theaters.
Okay.
But the only place where it says a release date, I looked everywhere. The only release date that's out is the 22nd. And
That's for Darkest Hour?
for Darkest Hour, and there's no date for a wider release. But I can't really find it.
It's strange.
anywhere.
I see trailers for that every movie I've seen. So they're promoting it.
Right. But I don't know if it it was originally supposed to be a Thanksgiving release, so I don't know if it's gonna go wide then. I don't know. Roman J. Israel Esquire, the Denzel Washington lawyer movie, is gonna be expanding to more theaters, so maybe you'll see that. Call Me by Your Name, the Army Hammer Man Boy Love movie.
The Nambla movie?
Yeah, that's a real Nambla movie.
I hear it's like, I remember looking at like IndieWire, like early in the year picks for Best Picture. I hear that's going to be like a Best Picture nominee. Like, it's getting like Oscar talk.
Yeah, I think it was kind of in description because
Yeah.
it sounds like an Oscar movie. We'll see how things
I think
go.
especially
I think
with-
it's done well on festival circuit, but it
I-
also is a very festival movie.
Yes, and I think I might be off base on this. I think with the whole sexual stuff going on in Hollywood with Kevin Spacey, I think this might not do too well. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 17, right?
It's something like that. He's a very young boy.
It's a little, you know.
It's the guy in there is the best, the young boy
Mm-hmm.
in it. He's the best character in Lady Bird.
Okay.
It's the guy from, or wait,
Timothy something.
Oh.
Timothy
then never mind.
Chalamet.
All right.
Bada bing.
Yeah, and speaking of Lady Bird, that's going to be expanding nationally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, time to make your picks. I was right last time, so I think we'll go Trey,
Man.
Spencer, then me.
Okay.
I'm going to say Coco because it's animated, Pixar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving, bring your kids, go see Coco.
Yeah, I will also take Coco.
I'm taking Coco as well.
Yeah.
Second.
I will pick.
Just a little note on Coco. It is the biggest box office success ever in Mexico.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So-
yeah.
It was already released there, and it was
Okay.
a huge hit.
Yeah. A smash.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, Coco's one. Justice League 2. I say Justice League goes another.
Yeah.
week.
I want to take the hot take and not take Justice League, especially since it's been a quote unquote disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to take Justice
You
League.
say it's disappointment. I hear it's bland and shallow, but it's the best DC movie they've done.
No, I mean as far as a box office.
Oh yeah. Oh, it
performance,
has. Okay. Yeah.
Because it's
not.
Yeah.
yeah,
It was deemed a disappointment, even though it made $94 million.
Mhm.
domestically. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm also taking Justice League. So,
Number 3, Blade Runner 2048. It's coming back.
2048, which is
Yeah.
not something that exists.
It's a new one.
Oh.
Yeah, new movie.
About what happened the year before.
Actually, that's actually the name of one of the little
lead up
lead up movies
the
they did, I think.
mini stories.
Yeah. That was one with Batista and what happened to him before the
Oh,
events of the movie.
that'd be interesting to watch because I liked his character.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Well, I guess Wonder again if that's already doing so well in the box office.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to take Murder on the Orient Express. Can you read off what are the other options again? I'm gonna go Thor Ragnarok again.
Okay.
No, I'm not. What are the new ones again?
The new one, there's Coco, and that's pretty much the only thing in wide release.
Yeah.
Except Lady Bird will be out.
Yeah,
Fairly-
I'll go Thor Ragnarok again.
Okay. I'm going to take Wonder as well.
All right.
So, Trey, you want a tiebreaker between you and me?
Yeah, sure.
So, what do you have next?
Okay, what are the other options?
Just movies that are out.
What was the? I guess Murder on the Orient Express, probably right. Or what's the Winston Churchill movie?
That's Darkest Hour.
I'm gonna pick
but-
Darkest Hour, even though it's
Well, that may only be out in 4 theaters. Just warning you.
okay.
Do
you know
it.
what?
Take it.
I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to do Daddy's Home too.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. So those are our picks.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, this is week 2 of our Star Wars extravaganza, where we review all the Star Wars movies leading up to Star Wars Episode 8,
Wow.
The Last Jedi.
Wow.
And this week we were reviewing Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
And let's just get rolling, man. Star Wars Episode 2.
Let me just say, I'm really glad we dedicated an entire episode to Episode 1.
Yeah. You don't want to have entire episode for Episode 2 and 3?
I mean, I would love to, but if we're gonna pick one to really focus on,
Episode 1. Yeah, so episode 2, we can maybe kind of start off. I mean, do you want to kind of lead this? You led it well last time.
Okay, I can do it. Yeah, so Attack of the Clones.
Yeah.
Opening crawl.
More politics.
I think it's a lot better. Its
right.
very first word is war.
War. No, that's
that's the
episode
third
3,
one.
Yeah.
The second one though, it talks about fighting in the Senate. The Jedi are overwhelmed. They need an army, and it's
yeah, but then they talk about voting.
Yeah, there's some stuff, but at least it's not like trade blockades.
Yeah.
It's not all the boring
But
stuff
since
that's in
when
the first one.
were Jedi's like politician bodyguards pretty much?
And
Since
keepers of the
episode
peace.
1.
Keepers of the peace.
Yeah, that's what they decided. Well, because they needed to have a role for what Jedi did. Because before, it's Obi-Wan.
I thought of more like samurai, or ninjas, or they're just kind of secret assassins.
They're not just people.
Or wizards.
They're not, that would make them essentially bounty hunters.
I put them more as wizards. Like I've always thought of them as wizards. They kind of do their own thing. They kind of go in and out and do whatever they feel is right. Yeah, I never thought of them as like just bodyguards for politicians.
Well, here's the thing. That's what they are.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the Force is explained by
midichlorians.
midichlorians.
Yeah, it's just a little math in your body.
So it starts off with an explosion right away.
Yeah,
Yep.
terrorist attack.
There's a big old terrorist attack. The fake Queen Padme,
Which
who is no longer queen,
Yeah,
and
that's weird.
is
Senator now.
Right.
How does this whole thing work? And there's a new queen, and it's not by blood.
and she's also the queen is voted on
Yeah.
because there's a part later on in the
Yeah.
movie where they talk about how they wanted to elect her queen for an extra year, but she said no, I can't do that.
queen
No.
of the democracy.
Just one of that name queen. This is
Yeah, so the stunt double is not wearing shoes. So
I
she's
noticed that.
one of those awful people on flights who take off their shoes.
yeah.
She's also
During
no longer Keira Knightley.
Yeah, it was some other lady.
Yeah.
Maybe Keira Knightley died. Maybe we'll get that side story in like 10 years. What happened to Keira Knightley?
In between, in the
Yeah.
10 years in between, Keira
Exactly.
Knightley. So
She's the guy with the bad scar that everyone is guessing who he is.
Snoke.
Snoke. She's Snoke.
That's-
Keira Knightley's Snoke.
Who knows?
Oh,
I think that's a good idea.
yeah.
So then Palestine.
Palestine.
Palpatine. Kind of assigns Obi-Wan and Anakin to protect
to Padme, and Anakin
Padme?
just walks in and is frickin' can't make his boner go down the first
Yeah.
time he sees her, and just acts creepy as hell.
right.
Mm-hmm. That's like let's see, starting with episode 2, there was about 4 hours and 40 minutes of that.
Just like, and
Yeah.
she says, "You'll always be that little boy I knew on Tatooine."
Right, exactly. He goes in and he's like, she's like, Lil, is that Anakin? You've grown so
Little
much.
Annie?
And he says, you've grown too. More beautiful, I mean.
My lady.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Yeah, and then she just friend zones the hell out of him.
Uh-huh.
It's
for
like
about
in The
5
Bachelorette.
minutes.
When Rachel was that one guy's camp counselor,
Mhm.
he never stood a chance.
No.
And that's what she does
Friend
to
zones him.
old Anakin.
And so they, and then you see Jar Jar for a little bit, and he's like smirking at the camera because he's a little cuck. That Jar Jar. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like that
Yeah.
word. That should have been my funny word the other night. But yeah, it's funny. I like to say it. Never mind.
Never would have stood a chance against Chubb.
Yeah.
Never forget it.
No chance. So Obi-Wan kind of does this thing where Anakin's like, no, we will hunt down who did this to
Yeah.
you, and we'll find him. And then Obi-Wan says, no, our job is to protect her, not to look into who's attacking her. Like, that's not part of protecting
No.
her.
You need
Wait,
to
when do they say that?
That's
Sorry?
before the
Before the attack?
before
before the second attack.
right before they
attempt.
try to put the poison worm
Okay.
in her room.
Yeah, because-
why are they in just such an open area, open room for anyone to even come in? And then it just
Outward facing window.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen their the way that they design buildings there, it's insane and incredibly unsafe.
Yeah.
Mm.
All corner offices.
Yeah. Now that city though looked kind of cool.
The city looked great.
It looked like Blade Runner. Like it was really tight.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's way better than anything that was in Phantom Menace.
Yes, 100%.
So then Anakin, she's sleeping in the room, and Anakin says she covered the cameras. I don't think she'd like to be watching.
George
So-
Lucas is just a weird guy.
He's
Little did you know, there's one that she forgot.
There's
right.
like
One that I
potty
hid.
cam. It's a upward-facing potty cam.
So she trusts
Oh.
R2D2 to
Mhm.
protect her.
Of
And then
course.
in the scenes, while the city looked great, everything inside
Yeah, the
they
cars.
green screen the outside,
Mhm.
and like Obi-Wan's hair looks like it does in Lazy Town, where it's like the plastic
Yeah.
like perfect hair. I don't know. That's something
That might just be Ewan McGregor's hair, to be honest.
pretty perfect.
It's perfect.
Um,
Ian McGregor's perfect.
So then Anakin talks about how he's been having nightmares about
Mhm.
his mom. And then he says, I'd much rather dream about Padme.
It's like every other line of dialogue
Is-
I'm
it's either-
obsessed with Padme.
It's either that or no one gets me. Obi-Wan doesn't understand me.
Oh.
He hates me. He doesn't understand I'm a powerful
Which-
Jedi.
out of nowhere with that stuff.
It's like Harry Potter did it in book 5, movie 5, but they led up to that, and there was a reason why. It was, he was trying to be protected, being shut out, and there was a build-up. That wasn't the second movie. There was an actual build-up towards that point where he is stressed out and no one's talking to him.
And essentially, this is the first movie
Yes.
with this Anakin.
Yes.
Like the difference between Jake Lloyd's Anakin and Hayden Christensen's is
So different.
with
There's really not a lot of similarities. Like there's no personality similarities between the two.
yeah.
Well, they're both bad.
Well, Lil Annie is the nicest,
Yes.
sweetest boy
Right.
of all time.
Little-
They're both bad actors.
Right.
Yeah.
They talk about any like, oh, I sense all these feelings in him that would
Yeah.
lead to the dark side. And it's like you don't get any of that
No.
from young Annie. And then they're like, oh, we got to make up for lost time. Overtly moody and sad
Yes.
and angry
Sexual.
and volatile and horny.
So horny.
He's the horniest Jedi.
All things leading to the dark side.
Yeah, if
Like
there's
this.
anything that there's more of than horny talk, it's politicians are evil talk.
Yes, I wrote that down.
Yep.
They're
Direct
just evil, man.
You can't trust her. She's a politician.
Yeah.
You can't trust Palpatine. He's a politician.
Well, they did
the
trust
direct
him
the
way too
direct
much.
quote is don't forget she's a politician and they're not to be trusted.
Oh man.
So I think after we brought up George Lucas libertarian last week.
Yes.
I think after watching these next two, 1,000% he is the most libertarian person.
Yeah, absolutely. He made all that money in the 70s and 80s and it's
Yeah.
like gotta have small government.
Right. Exactly. Stay away from me.
No government.
So Obi-Wan is kind of brought in as the guy. He says to Anakin at one point, he's like, stop, think, use the Force, do this. So the assassin robot drops in the worm, and they sense that something's going wrong, and the first thing Obi-Wan does is jump headfirst out of a window
Yep.
to
Grab on.
go grab something, which I don't know. That's glass that he jumps through.
Oh, sure.
So
but-
Jedi powers
but-
also include just like
Stunt work.
strong faces.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Good
it
stunt
was
work.
it was damaged glass. There was a hole
There was
in
a
it.
big hole in the glass.
And I think he was able to kind of Jedi squeeze through the hole.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
That's what happened, yeah.
And those blinds are ruined too, and those are probably pretty
Yeah.
expensive.
He would have got caught in the blinds. He would have
Yeah.
fallen straight down. A lot of problems there.
There's a line where he says to Anakin, why do I have the feeling you're going to be the death of me?
Which is the thing that I hate
Yeah.
about prequels so much, is that they have to do these real hard
Mhm.
winks and nods.
And they did that a ton with C-3PO. A ton.
Yeah.
Where he's like, oh, I don't want to be on a starship. Oh, I'm a feminine robot.
Yeah.
A lot of it. A whole bunch of it.
So bad. When they go into the chase,
Mm-hmm.
which is a pretty good scene where they're chasing the shapeshifter through the city and
Yeah.
kind of doing that. That's a pretty interesting thing. Anakin is just like weaving through fire torches for no reason. And then they end up at Space Buffalo Wild Wings. And and so they've established that, hey, I think it's a changeling, right? And it is a changeling who stays exactly in the form that she was in before.
Yeah, when you're trying to escape someone, it's the chase that's the fun part.
Right.
And if you lose them too soon, you lose out on the fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Then that thing gets hit by a dart and dies. And this dart is very, very important.
Yep.
Yeah, because it leads them to Django. Or it leads them to...
Well, it leads them to the guy who works at the diner.
Right,
Yeah.
the 50s diner.
Who happens to know that he found it knew about this type of dart while prospecting on a certain
Right.
planet that was deleted from the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can get into that, Adam.
Well, yeah, so I kind of have it all. I have Palpatine's plan written out, I guess. So a Jedi died who asked to make a clone army, who I don't think it's ever revealed that like that's just something that happened.
Yeah.
That wasn't like
It was some throwaway Jedi name.
right.
Yeah.
Okay, so then from there they bank on a failed assassination attempt, the discovery that the dart, knowing where it's from, being able to figure out where the planet was that they destroyed, so they could go from there to follow Django to a planet to where there's a bunch of separatists meeting. So they realize that they're plotting against the Republic. So then they can grant emergency powers to Palpatine.
Which Boba Fett has nothing to do with Obi learning of the plan.
Yeah.
Or Django, yeah. Django leads them to the planet, but they learn of the plan just by happening to be in the hallway when the other bad guys are talking about it.
Yes, exactly.
They picked that moment when they knew Obi-Wan was there to reveal the plan.
Right.
They picked that. Not the whole walk up there. Just, we're going to reveal it now.
Yeah, and so then they grant emergency powers to Palpatine, who then okays a clone army, which he will then use to turn against the Jedi in the next movie.
Right.
That
whole sequence is so when Obi is getting chased, he gets to the planet. I guess this is before he meets Django. He meets with those
the long
neck
AI
folks,
aliens,
and they're just like, "Oh, you're a Jedi. We will reveal everything to you."
Right.
And he says, "What clone army?" And they say, "Oh, the one you authorized 10 years ago." And he said, "Oh, yes, of course.
Right.
I would like to see this thing that I know about."
And it's the only thing they're doing. Like, what a bummer for them to be like, oh, this thing we've been working on for the last 10 years.
Yeah,
No.
it's like when you fake order a pizza and they, oh, I got this pizza order. No, you didn't order this. Damn it.
They have the power to speed up their aging, but it's like only like maybe it's like 33% faster. Like how this is like just a little bit better technology. Like, it'll still take like 15 years before this army is ready, but it's that better than 25 years. It's still such a long time. It's crazy. But
the most importantly, we find out the true origin of Boba Fett.
Which was another...
He's just a clone. That's all he is.
He's just a clone.
Clone. And metachlorians.
And I hated young Boba Fett. I don't know if I hated him, but it's like, when you're playing with toys and it's like you're trying to... You make that loud voice, but you're actually whispering. Pew! Yeah! Get him! Pew! Pew! Ah! Like... His dad's like shooting him like... and he's just in there adding the commentary. Oh, yeah! Boom.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
So...
All these choices for how these characters came to be are just not great.
Yeah. Then, meanwhile,
I think Padme is fine. She's a fine. I think Natalie
Fine,
Portman
yeah,
did a fine job.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it's Natalie Portman. She's
Ewan
she's
McGregor did a
amazing.
fine job.
Hey, I honestly, throughout the 3 movies, I'm like, I would not mind seeing an Obi-Wan movie with Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
That would be
Ewan
pretty
McGregor is killing it
Yeah.
in a role where he has no business
help.
killing it, and is
He's
either
great.
speaking to just blue
Yeah.
blue screen
Yeah.
or to Hayden Christensen, and he gives a really good performance, especially in the third one.
Mhm,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'll talk a little
Yeah.
more about it.
Yeah.
So while Obi-Wan's on his little adventure finding out about the clones and stuff, they decide to send Anakin and Padme to Tatooine to try to stay safe. And the last thing they do before she leaves is to appoint Jar Jar as senator. But there's a room full of people who are capable and interesting, and
I
she's
mean,
like, this guy
it's-
who
Isn't any different than real politics, though.
Oh, my
It's really
God.
like they had this grand plan of making Jar Jar an integral part of the
Yeah.
prequels,
right.
and they rewrote it like 95%, and then
Right.
left the 5%.
Well, they were
where
like,
he becomes.
we have to show what happened to Jar Jar, right?
Right.
And then they were like,
They
oh,
bought
God,
in,
I don't know.
yeah.
He'll do
He's
this.
a senator.
Oh,
So then Anakin gets alone time with Padme. He
Finally.
immediately complains about his job,
yeah.
Which is so out of the blue.
right?
Is-
Just randomly, he's like, Obi-Wan doesn't trust me. I'm ready for the trials, and she is totally not into it. And then after he gets done with his little rant, they're kind of waiting for their transport
Yeah.
to Tatooine. She's wearing her full Queen Amidala headdress, just with like a little rag over the top of it to try to hide who she is, I guess.
And they
Yeah.
got like actual luggage. Looks like they just
Right.
got that from.
Yeah, they just have rolling
Yeah.
luggage. And-
Hey,
and-
if it works, it works.
Which-
You know.
yeah,
It wasn't until episode 3 that we got to see the top of Natalie Portman's head.
Yeah.
that's true.
And she kind of went from like really kind of a badass princess, like she was involved in the action, like she had agency, and then she just turns into a crying, "Oh my God, Annie, you broke my heart."
Right,
Yeah.
by the end
she
of the
just,
third one.
Yeah. It's
that's-
neuter her character.
Yeah. Anakin says, or Padme says, "Please don't look at me like that. It makes me feel uncomfortable." And then he makes a much creepier face.
Of course, milady.
Oh, one thing I forgot about when Obi-Wan is looking for the planet and they're at the library and he's talking to that librarian. He's like, "I'm looking for this planet and I can't find it." And she's like, "If it's not in the library, it doesn't exist."
Yeah.
Just like, okay,
It's like,
Miss Space Librarian trying to think that she's all that.
you sure you don't have it in stock? No, if it's not here, it's not there. Oh, okay. all right.
Sorry.
Anyway, let's keep this moving.
Okay. Let's see. So
Are we
then,
talking about the sand yet?
yeah, let's talk about the sand.
I don't like sand.
don't like sand.
Which, like, I get not liking sand when you're from the desert,
Right.
but
He's like, I like it. I prefer things soft and smooth. Also, his eyeline is not on her eyes for that entire speech. He is staring right at her tits the entire time. He's
Yeah.
talking about how
Mhm.
much he hates sand.
yeah, her breasts are like 2 really big, soft grains of sand.
It's like in a 40-year-old virgin, just
Right.
2 bags,
Two
of,
bags
sand.
of sand. So then they go straight from that scene to them in a field.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst looking CGI shit in the world.
And first off, Anakin asks about like her past crushes, and she talks about, "Oh yeah, there was this one boy who had like long hair and dark skin and eyes." And then Anakin's like, "All right, I've heard enough."
I get it. It's not
Gets super jealous immediately. Like, why are you asking about this?
Well, you met me when I was 7. Why didn't you wait the 10 years for me?
And then, so then he talks about how he doesn't trust politicians again.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And he
like,
says,
they're-
Except for one.
Their love talk is just politics and
His-
creepiness.
his quote is, "I think we need a system where the politicians sit down and discuss the problem, agree what's in the best interest for the people, and do it. Be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, you're a great wise Jedi.
Wow.
Anakin
Wow.
has.
But then
he's like a college student.
No,
He's like
yeah.
but then like moments later after Padme says, "That's what we do," he's like, "All right, well then what about an authoritative ruler?"
Yeah.
What about the exact opposite?
Huh. Well,
Idea number 2.
which is crazy. Then he gets on this like avocado buffalo
yeah,
and falls down.
and pretends like he's
And
dead.
pretends
'Cause that's
like
the
he's
way to
dead.
woo a woman is pretend you're dead.
He does get straight up trampled by
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
For someone who does a whole lot of things, he
What if he does die
just
right there?
died.
Well,
in
that
a
comes
field.
into play later. His ability to ride buffalo wildlings.
That whole scene
youngling.
is so pointless.
Mhm.
Like the biggest waste of time.
Oh yeah,
Well, I mean, it
I
adds,
felt like this movie was a waste of time.
It adds to the the relationship that we
Right.
we don't get enough of in episode 2.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you really get that George Lucas understands what women like, what
They do.
women want, and how men should act. Then they're eating, and he uses his force powers to cut her a piece of
Fruit.
pear, and gives her like the butt end with the core.
Right. Whenever he was forcing it,
worst.
like force floating it, whatever, to her
Right.
face, I was convinced she was going to try to eat that entire huge slice, like in one bite. I thought he was just gonna
Yeah,
put like
right.
this, like a
Just
half a
force it
pear
in.
in her mouth.
Too much.
I wrote down Anakin goes on a rant about getting blue-balled by the fire. I don't remember exactly what that was about.
Yeah, I don't remember that either.
I don't remember that.
He talks about like how they can't be together and how it sucks so
Yeah,
much.
he's like, I need you so much. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
Just and like Jedi, they kind of killed what was cool about Jedis. They make them out to be like priests almost. Where you
Right.
can't have sex, can't do any of that stuff. Why would you want to be a Jedi?
Yeah.
Well, I think they do bring that up in episode 4. I think that
Okay.
I think that Harrison Ford says he's like, "Oh, you're like a space monk or something
Mm-hmm.
like that."
Okay.
So, cuz it is supposed to be religious
Yeah.
to an extent, I
Mhm.
believe. I may be totally wrong about that.
Maybe they should let them have sex. They probably should let
Yeah.
priests have sex.
Yeah, let Kit Fisto do
Dude,
what his name
if you think
implies.
those Jedis are not having sex, you are so naive.
Okay. I'm naive then.
They go to the space
You think Mace
brothels.
Windu don't fuck?
Dude, he fucks. He fucks. Anyway.
Anakin has some spoopy night terrors.
Yes, he does.
And then he says Jedi don't have nightmares, which is another strange Jedi power.
He just has a prophetic visions.
Right.
Yeah, that's like guys don't faint, they pass out.
And I know I'll just kind of skip ahead to episode 3 where he tells Padme about the vision where she dies, and she's like, "It's just a dream." Well, no, the last time I had a vision, my mom was dead.
Well, we
So-
haven't gotten there yet, have we?
Well, let's get there
Yeah.
because we're
So
Cutting
Anakin goes, and first of all, he's super cool with meeting his former slave master.
yeah.
He's just like, "What's
Yeah.
up, Watto?" And he's
Annie.
like, "Oh yeah, little Annie. Oh, I sold your mom to a different guy." Which-
Business is business. Well, you're right.
I understand.
I get it for a guy who then later on kills not just the men but the women,
the
and
women
the children.
and
He
the
slaughtered
children,
them like
too.
animals.
slaughtered them. The animals.
And, go continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He says, "I will learn to stop people from dying," which is something totally a real cool normal person says, and then yells about his boss some more, and then is then followed by talking
Right.
to Padme about the genocide that he
Right.
committed.
But he got to meet Uncle. We get to
Oh,
meet
yeah.
Uncle Owen.
Yeah.
Finally.
Joel Edgerton.
Right.
That's what I was waiting for. That meeting.
Finally, you get
Yeah.
to see what was
Even
Uncle
though-
Owen up to.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes Obi-Wan's plan of bringing Luke to Ben and Ben pretty dangerous because you think maybe Vader might go back there. That might be a place where they keep your children?
Right.
Or is the uncle and aunt and uncle?
Yeah.
Like, that would be a really great place to keep them.
It honestly, that relationship makes me question the whole we're going to send him to Uncle Owen's house. Like, okay, so his super dangerous father is wrecking things. Where can we send Luke to protect him? Oh, I know.
Well,
His super dangerous father's stepdad who bought his mom. We're going to send him to his son's house?
Right.
That's weird.
There's got to be like 1,000 other places you could have sent Luke that would
Right.
have been safer.
And then also in A New Hope, Obi-Wan acts very kind of surprised to see Luke, not that interested in Luke.
Yeah.
Like, not the great deal of like care and compassion that he should have, because he sacrificed his entire life to stay on this sand planet.
Well, that's what happens when you retcon things, Adam. Things don't end up making a lot of sense.
Well, right.
Yeah. No, but no. I'm not trying to detour your.
No.
I'm just. Yeah. It's pretty bad. When you don't retcon it well, it doesn't end up well.
Okay. So then, Obi-Wan finds out the plan essentially about the Separatists, and sends the transmission to Anakin so he can send it on to the Jedi Council. And Anakin and Padme say, we have to go. And then Anakin says, no, I'm supposed to protect you. And Padme says, oh, I could talk to them and find a diplomatic solution, when the last thing she saw is Obi-Wan just getting like blasted.
And also, like, since when does Anakin just say, no, I got to do what I'm told?
Never.
When is that? Yeah. Then, now he has to do what he's told.
So then they're there, and she's like, no, we'll find a diplomatic solution. They walk into the planet, and then some people just kind of like walk behind them, and they immediately start murdering everyone because they just know. I think a lot of stuff in this movie looks really good.
Right.
The assembly line scene
is
not one of those
Oh,
scenes.
I thought it was fun.
It's fun, but it does
like,
not look
right.
good.
It was really hard to follow.
And they do something really cheap in that one too, where they use some cheap editing to make it look like Padme was just boiled in lava.
Right.
They did some really cheap ass editing there.
Yeah,
that was dumb.
So then they end up getting caught,
and
they get wheeled into the arena, and Padme
which
says,
is like, it's such like a strange. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention, but it's like it just happens like so quickly.
yes,
Now they're in the arena.
right, and there's no First of all, the arena's filled with people that they were just kind of slaughtering, and that had been attacking them. The concept of the arena is there's 3 of them handcuffed, and then they're just gonna let these monsters out to just eat them.
Now
like
if
they don't escape, then it's just a whole crowd there to watch people just walk in, eat them, and then walk out. Right. Like there shouldn't be a battle there.
No.
And so it's not like a gladiator fight.
No.
Where like in Thor Ragnarok, where it's
or Horizon Zero Dawn
or
any
gladiator
movie.
It's
whatever.
not like it really should not be, hey, you've got a slim chance, but there's a chance. It's
right.
In reality, they're chained up. It's, hey, we're gonna watch you get eaten.
Right.
But of course,
it
they
doesn't
escape.
But also,
of course.
So Anakin and Padme get locked up, and Obi-Wan's like, "What are you doing here?" And Anakin's like, "We came to save you, Master." And Obi-Wan says, "Good job." You're like, "Fuck you, man! You're about to get eaten." At least I did something about it. He was trying to save his life. Unbelievable.
Also, Anakin just is. I know he's supposed to be Darth Vader, but he's just unlikable. The whole movie, he's so unlikable.
Well, he doesn't show any of the conflict that like Anakin should be going through of jumping back and forth between the.
Yeah, there's no like balance in the Force where he's finally decides to go bad for a reason. He's just kind of like always shitty.
Yeah, he's just moody. Will do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Kit Fisto's smile when he pushes over the robots is really funny. I think the C-3PO bit's pretty funny in this when he gets his head on the on the robot. Like, because we talked about how none of the jokes land in Phantom Menace. I think that's a decently funny bit.
I do wonder why why the body would move the way it does and start killing people if C-3PO's head is on there.
Well, because his head is maybe not. It doesn't control the brain like the rest of it. I don't know. But it's like, I don't care about technical stuff.
Right.
Like, I just think that's kind of fun.
Okay.
Count Dooku just stays there the whole time. But like even before the other Jedi get there and Obi-Wan and Anakin get their lightsabers, like, go in there and be a little enforcer.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I don't know. Boba Fett picks up a helmet with his dad's head inside of it.
The head should have
I will
fallen out.
wear this.
Yeah.
So there were scenes where Boba Fett was entirely CGI, right?
Yes.
Like, what the heck?
Right.
It's so stupid. Just put
No
the guy
reason.
in a costume.
Right.
Like, there are scenes where you're gonna have to do some sort of CGI.
Yes.
But it made it look completely lame.
Same thing with the clones. There's
Yeah.
no reason for them all to be CGI like
Yeah.
they were.
Right.
Like, the
It's-
stormtroopers looked cool.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what they're trying to do is
Right.
make new stormtroopers, and they just
Mhm.
made them all CGI, and it looks
Which-
that looks bad.
Which I guess that's cheaper, but that's still a lot of animation.
Right. Then to get some people in some
Right.
costumes, I don't know what the payoff there, the
Yeah.
cost analysis would be. I think the Death Star plans, when they give that to Count Dooku, I think that's good sequel stuff.
Yeah.
Because
I do too.
that's a good little nod
Yeah.
to something, and it kind of matters and makes sense in
Mhm.
the moment, where it's not like, you'll be the death of me.
Yeah. It's not just
And-
dumb throwaway
No,
lines
it's
like
like,
that.
Oh, okay, so there's something here that we're
Yes.
like, oh ho ho, I
Like, you
know
can
what that is.
you
That's
see
cool.
the wheels turning and the kind of the plot kind of behind everything kind of going.
Right. So then Anakin and Obi-Wan end up in the same room as Count Dooku.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they go and they have their fight. It's just a big empty room. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Why is that green screened?
Because don't want to be Mickey Mouse production.
I have no, like, it looks like, I guess now it looks bad, and maybe
I
then
think,
it didn't, but it's just an empty room.
Yeah,
like,
back
it would
then-
have
Going
been
to
so easy to
CGI
make a
it.
I
set.
think
Yeah.
that was right in the height of let's do everything green screen movie. You know, like you used to see those, production things
Yeah.
where everything is green screen.
Right.
Oh,
I think it was in that kind of.
And maybe it's to set up maybe because it's easier to have Yoda
Yeah.
manipulate
yeah.
fake
That might be
things
it,
than it
too.
is because he comes in and does
Yeah.
his fight thing
Yeah.
than to have him interact with real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
But-
boy,
Sorry to jump back, but Sam Jackson slices Django's head off.
yes.
Which now there are 2 movies in which Sam Jackson hates Django.
That's good.
I give you that one. Give me a point for that one.
Yoda and Count Dooku's force battle is pretty lame.
Yeah, it's pretty lame.
Yeah.
Where they're just
Well,
kind of
because
like,
they're two. Well, Yoda doesn't exist, but he's like a billion-year-old man, and Christopher Lee is another billion-year-old man,
right.
and so it's all fake looking.
And
you know?
so
And
then
it could have been three Jedi Masters
right.
Yeah,
fighting against a dark Jedi Master, but it's just the one.
yeah,
Right.
One on one.
Yeah. It's and then the Yoda fighting is so bad
Mm-hmm.
where he's just like jumping all around.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's supposed to be cool.
Another
guess.
limb cut off of Anakin. Another
Yeah,
limbs,
Anakin gets
all
his
these
arm.
limbs are getting cut off.
I was kind of thinking about this. The Yoda's speech patterns
Yeah, it's really.
when he's like, surround the arena,
You
you will.
Yeah.
There are some commands that it would really delay the time to understand the command. Like, okay.
Like, I get that that's his thing from Empire Strikes Back, but I don't know. Would it almost be cooler if he was fine and then isolated himself
Mm-hmm.
for years and then just kind of went insane and talked?
Yeah, that'd be a
Talked
lot
weird.
better.
Yeah.
I don't know. That
It does. It
Seems
doesn't
bad
make
to
any
me.
sense.
no.
Anyway,
And then is Palpatine as the Emperor supposed to be a surprise?
I don't think
No,
so.
it can't be.
No.
It cannot
You
be
have to
like
know.
a surprise to anyone.
Because he keeps his hood on in every single scene where he's the Emperor.
Dude, even without the hood, like his eyes are like bright pink, like
Right.
around, like it's like he's been rubbing them all day. He's got terrible allergies.
Yeah.
And also, from what I've heard, from like people who were kind of at the time like old enough to remember when those movies were coming out, you knew everything about these sequels
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
prequels. Like,
Yeah.
you knew everything.
Yeah.
Like that song, that Weird Al song he did, that was made just from spoilers.
Uh-huh.
That was made before the movie was even released. He wrote that
Interesting.
song. Yeah, so,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like the whole like Anakin is Darth Vader thing. Like,
Right.
Mhm.
It'd be hard to do those sequels and not have people like guess and figure out really early that it's him.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one, but like the whole like who is Emperor Palpatine thing, or like, oh wow, this guy was Emperor Palpatine all along, could have
Yeah.
been a longer and better reveal.
Mhm.
Right. Okay, so this movie, what are labs and halves?
Oh man, one. I don't think. I think
Really?
like maybe like negative
'Cause
one. Can you do?
You gave a 1 to Phantom Menace.
Oh,
You
I
think
gave
this
a
is
1.5.
You give this less than Phantom Menace?
Yeah, I'd say less than Phantom Menace.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I think
to
that's.
me.
I think I came out of this movie and I was like, I think I've given this movie
But
too
it's
hard
just
of a time.
boring.
There's
It's just boring.
all the Anakin stuff sucks
Yeah.
and could be cut out. But I think there's a lot of good, like the gladiator scene is at least interesting
Mhm.
to watch.
Yeah.
The chase scene is pretty good to watch.
Right. There
The
are
Dooku fight I could do without.
It's not as offensively bad as Phantom Menace, but it's just a really bad, dull Star Wars movie.
I feel like it at least feels like a Star Wars movie,
Yeah.
whereas Phantom Menace
No.
was almost something
Like a-
completely
yeah.
different.
Uh-huh.
So I'll give this. I think I gave it 1.5. The last one. I'll give
Mhm.
this one a 2.5.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna come in at a 2.5 as well.
All right.
It was there were parts that were good that are just good.
No, I'll give
And
it the
there-
same
there's-
rating as
1.
yeah, I'll just give the same rating.
Okay.
They're both kind of
Okay.
because this wasn't as offensively like horrible, but it was just bad and bland.
Right, like I'm not clamoring to watch it
Yeah.
again, but there was some good action
There's-
scenes.
yeah.
Some of the characters were getting better developed. Some of them
Yeah.
obviously were
Mhm.
still really bad. One thing, again, no subtitles for me.
Yeah,
And I
same.
think it's when the who are the people from episode 1, the offensively Asian.
Right. Those
Like,
guys.
There's
the
that whole
Trade
sequence
Federation.
when the Trade Federation, when they're going over, I think it's the Death Star plans,
Uh-huh.
and like 3 or 4 of them talk, and then all of a sudden there's the one guy who's speaking in a different language.
Right.
So it's when I'm just watching it, that's like the first time there's subtitles in this movie, and I don't have them, so it's just like people talking, and then he's just speaking gibberish. I was like, oh, he's on board.
All right. So now let's move on to Revenge of the Sith.
And maybe make this one a little quicker.
All right.
Yeah.
War is the first word in the crawl. That's a good thing.
Who?
Also in the crawl, it says heroes on both sides. Trump, a big prequel fan.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Both sides are bad. Okay, the Empire, everything is all right. No, you don't have to just be quiet. Keep going.
No, it's good.
No.
R2D2 is a Mary Sue. R2D2 can do whatever he wants
Yeah.
to get at it. Like, he goes and he sprays his oil all over the place and then lights them on fire,
Mhm.
and he can fly, and he can just kind of do whatever he wants. He shows his... he asks for a distraction, and then just, like, all the things shoot out of
Mhm.
his head, and somehow that is a big deal. I don't know. So, the beginning of this movie... Anakin and Obi-Wan are going after General Grievous.
You know, I like the colors of the lights. I like the purple and the green together.
Yeah.
I thought it looked pretty cool. The whole ships and
Yeah.
I thought it looked cool. You know,
Definitely.
but,
It opens
Yeah.
with a pretty good dogfight,
Mhm.
I think.
yeah.
And then so then they go in to run in on General Grievous.
And they pretty much did the same thing as Return of the King, where they kill Christopher Lee at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just about the thing. Battle droids are so useless.
Yeah.
Like they go into the elevator. There's like 10 of them in there.
Oh,
They
gosh.
all have their
Mhm.
guns drawn, and then they kind of like turn around, look at each other, nod, and then they murder all of them before one of them gets a shot
Mhm.
off. Come on, guys.
The scene where they're in the elevator is so like Anakin is literally standing there staring at them for a minute,
Yeah.
It seems, and they're just looking at him. They can just kill them right then so easily.
Right. It's bad. Count Dooku doesn't fuck with stairs. Because they're in there, or no, they're trying to recover Palpatine, is what it is. And General Grievous is there. Right? Is that?
Yeah.
Or am I getting
General
confused?
Grievous is there.
That's
Okay.
like the first 10,
Right.
15 minutes.
He's
So then-
coughing, hacking.
Right. Count Dooku walks to the edge where there's like the 2-tier thing, and then just does a front flip down because
Was
he's
General Grievous mentioned in episode 2?
not at all.
Okay.
Nope.
There's no reason for General Grievous to exist
Yeah.
other than they wanted. Like, if it was Count Dooku, it would be a million times better.
Yes.
If they just gave him all of his things. The
Mhm.
only reason that it's a thing is to have Anakin murder someone
Yeah.
for
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine, which is kind of a thing.
And more toys.
Yeah.
More toys.
Also, there's no way that people don't get their hands cut off like Count Dooku did all the time in lightsaber
Oh,
fights.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have no hilts. That's
Mhm.
why hilts exist.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
everybody who was talking shit about Kylo Ren knows
Yeah,
what's up. He doesn't want to.
practical.
He doesn't want to get.
And that thing is actually, in the movie, actually, it was those little lights were practical because he kind of did burn, you know? Like,
Right.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, and yeah, killing the big villain from the last movie 15 minutes in
It's
is
very Return of the King.
yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
No.
I don't think it makes any sense.
It does. The one reason that I do like it is that it raises the stakes for any given fight scene, which Star Wars more or less has been not so bad as far as like important characters dying. You know, like what's it? Qui-Gon dies in episode 1.
Mhm.
So that just makes the action sequences a little bit more entertaining because something could actually happen. So I'm okay with it for that, but I do think Dooku is a much better character than Grievous. So
Yeah.
that was
Because he's a human being.
yeah.
Anakin feels really bad about killing Count Dooku, and he's like, I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way. But then later on, when he and Obi-Wan just straight up chases down droids that are running away from him and
Mhm.
murders them. And these droids like can think and feel and obviously have fear to be able to run away from him.
And
There's,
they
like-
seemingly have organs at some point.
Yeah,
the Grievous
they
has
do.
organs.
Yeah, I think Grievous is like he's kind of like Darth Vader, where he was some sort of alien,
Okay.
and then they built up stuff around him.
Mhm.
Right.
But like as far as droids are pretty realistic
Yeah.
in this, and so I just don't get why Anakin would feel bad about killing Dooku versus a droid. Yeah.
So I gotta take off.
Big
but I'll
any
give you
big takes
my-
in your laughs and a half.
My big takes is I like the second half of it when you kind of see things come together. I liked Obi-Wan's great. I think this series, this whole prequel was fucked from the start because they gave you really no reason to like Anakin.
Mhm.
So there was no weight in him becoming Darth Vader.
Right.
The characters were very poorly written and just you didn't really care for anyone. And then just sort of the politics that go behind it and everything just seemed really sloppily put together. It was dead before it could even have a chance to breathe, I think.
How
And
do you
so
feel about the third one versus the other two?
I felt it was better, but that's just because I think the final act, the final third of it, I'd give it maybe 2.5 labs and a half. I think it's better as
Mhm.
far as you get to see kind of everything come together, and it's kind of cool. That last shot is pretty cool, on Tatooine with the 2 moons, and you hear the Luke theme swell up, and that's pretty cool. But otherwise it's still flawed, and
Mhm.
it's just a symptom of the whole prequels.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good luck, and let me know when you're done.
Love
Will
you.
do. Bye, Trey. Fart stuff. All right.
Bye, Trey.
See you, Trey.
Well, Adam, I did not get to watch the last like 30 minutes of this.
That's
so.
okay. There's pretty much the last 30 minutes is just kind of fighting.
It's just the fight sequence between Obi and Luke, right? Or not Luke, Anakin.
Anakin.
I have seen that.
Okay. So, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan is really good. And
Yeah.
he's like a good guy.
Yeah,
too.
he's an excellent fighter. He's an excellent mentor, and he is very loyal and true to his word and his oath.
Right.
Admirable.
He took on something that he had no business taking. Like, he did it out of respect for Qui-Gon.
Right.
That there was no reason for him to do it. He cares about Anakin a bunch. He talks about it a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's something that the other two movies did not have. Is
Yeah.
there's real emotion behind what happens.
Right.
Essentially, it's not just either against millions of faceless droid armies or Count Dooku, who really doesn't do anything. It's Obi-Wan versus Anakin, and the fact that it like is troubling to Ewan McGregor especially is good. It's like what makes for a good movie. There's not any of that in the other two. At the same time, though, what is Obi-Wan like? Obi-Wan's definitely dead without Anakin.
Yeah, he saved
Right.
him a lot.
Yeah,
Right?
but
So
I wonder how much is he gets involved because of Anakin, but he like doesn't like any sort of flying or space fights or anything
yeah.
when Anakin's in it.
Yeah, you wonder that. I mean, if Anakin wasn't his Padawan, he'd have another Padawan.
Right.
Obviously not as skilled as Annie.
So then they come back from their mission. They bring Palpatine back, and everything's all good.
Which, God, it's the whole thing is so clearly Palpatine is behind all of the mess that's been happening. Like they have all this perception in this insane Jedi sense,
Right.
but you can't put together. This crazy stuff has been happening. This clone army was developed as soon as Palpatine was elected.
Right.
So you can't piece that together.
The dark side clouds the Force.
Oh, God.
Anakin and Padme's relationship is supposedly still secret, but they come back and they take like 2 steps off the little like red carpet pathway where they are, and they're just full on making out.
Yeah.
And again, they're supposed to be able to perceive everything.
Yeah.
Uh,
I also entirely doubt that they never had a fight all the time that they were together. And when they did have a fight, Annie was going around moping and crying about it.
Of course. He's so emotional. They also sleep in the same room.
Yeah, but he's there to protect her.
Right. There's some more great dialogue. Here's the full back and forth, which I wrote down. You are so beautiful. It's only because I'm so in love. No, it's because I'm so in love with you. So love has blinded you? Haha, well, that's not exactly what I meant. It's probably true.
George Lucas.
That's just like a whole scene.
Man, was that Woody Allen?
Cutting
Ghost
right,
writing.
right to what everyone really wants.
Master of romance.
Let's see. I said Yoda is supposed to be wise, but he's oh, right. Okay, so Yoda tells Anakin, because he has the nightmare about Padme dying,
Mhm.
and he's like, hey, is there anything that can happen to avoid this sort of thing? And without Mav's game's going into overtime, so we may get Trey back.
Yes.
So Yoda's supposed to be all wise and stuff, but in order to convince Anakin, so he's like, the best way to not lose something is to never care about anything at all.
Yeah.
Essentially.
You'll be just like me, you will.
Right.
Happy and tiny.
They decide to give more executive powers to the Chancellor.
Yep, this more incredible. Whoever decided they put the Jedi are like the worst politicians / whatever diplomats ever.
Right.
They have no sense of apparently have no sense of like identifying good and evil in government. Even though they perceive everyone to be evil, but they're like, we'll give more autocratic power.
Right. Just immediately, it's like, maybe we should give more power, and then like, oh yeah, okay. They always talk about, like, Obi-Wan always talks about how, your friend Palpatine and stuff. Oh, you better be careful with your friend Palpatine. He's doing all this.
Yeah.
Like, when would they have ever been like friends or interested in each other, been around each other that much.
I don't know, but at the same time that they're nervous about Palpatine and Anakin hanging out around him, they're like, yeah, do whatever you want, Palpatine. Like,
Right.
they're not doing anything to
Yeah.
curb any of that.
Right. And so then they ask Anakin to spy on
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine. They're like, oh yeah, you need to spy on your friend Palpatine. And so then Anakin immediately goes into Palpatine's office and like kind of complains about it, and then it goes into the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise,
Mm-hmm.
where they're in some sort of opera. Is that what
Is
they're at? They're just
I
like
can't
staring
even
at
remember.
like it's supposed to be some sort of
Yeah.
play,
So
I
it's like
guess, because it looks almost like the Senate,
wait.
but there's just like 3 balls.
Well, when he's like, "Come closer to me,"
Right, and they're just like 3 floating orbs
Yeah.
that everyone's just staring at. You think it's music?
I think it's probably like a dirty movie theater.
Right. Yeah. They have Paul Rubin
Yeah.
alien there doing unseemly things. Let's see. So yeah, the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise is just such a weird, bad story.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, he even had the power
Oh yeah.
to stop death, and then he's like,
Can I learn that?
wait a minute, and
That's exactly what I want.
right, exactly. Hey, Trey's back. Overtime. Yeah, so we got overtime Trey.
So I am listening in there.
Okay.
To you guys.
So-
Does he imply that he is, or Darth Plagueis his apprentice? Does he imply that?
Yeah, he said yes, knowing what we know about him.
Yeah.
He's definitely Darth Plagueis' apprentice.
Yeah, that kills him in his sleep. Do you think Darth Plagueis is Snoke? Do you hate all those theories about who's
all the Snoke theories?
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty funny. Like there's one.
The little youngling. is
Well,
Snoke.
that's a fun. The one where in A New Hope where the stormtrooper hits his head on the door, and it's like in the
Yeah,
same
little
spot
indent.
where the scar is on
Yeah.
Snoke, and they're like,
I like that one. That's a good one.
there's all kinds of stuff. Darth Plagueis the Wise is a terrible speech, correct?
Yeah, it's terrible. If you have the chance of it's bad.
Yeah.
It's funny though.
So then
It's a
they
great
go
meme.
right. As far as memes go,
Yeah, it's a great meme.
Yoda going to fight alongside the Wookiees is the most fan service thing.
Oh yeah, and I
Goodbye, Chewbacca. You did nothing this whole movie.
and I thought like there was a whole lot more to that, but it's like
No.
one scene. They're there.
That could have been General Grievous. Like that
Yes.
if it was on the Wookiee planet
Yeah.
with Yoda and then Obi-Wan
Yeah.
and they do that thing, that could be
yeah.
interesting. Instead, they're just like, oh,
Here's
man, we got to do something with Yoda.
Chewbacca.
And be like, oh, we want some Wookiees.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they just want it felt like they wanted a shot for the trailer
Yeah.
of the Wookiees standing up
Yeah.
and yelling, because that'd be something that would make people go crazy. Like, yeah.
Rome.
But it doesn't have anything to do with anything.
No, it's just there. That's what the whole movie. It seemed like all these movies were just scenes slapped together with no real meaning or anything. It's just okay. We're gonna do this thing because it might look cool. There's not really a story to a lot of them,
Uh-huh.
and the story that they do have is terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
So another scene where Anakin sees Padme dying,
Mhm.
and then he sees Obi-Wan with her.
Oh.
Before that, first of all, he has like a Game Boy, basically. He has like a little screen thing. And then Padme says, "I promise not to die in childbirth." Essentially, like,
can't control
like
that.
almost literally.
right. But then, which just made me want to do kind of like a "It's Always Sunny" thing, where it's like,
Yeah.
"I promise
Yeah.
not to die in childbirth," and then Padme
Padme
dies in childbirth.
What a strange.
But also,
promise.
she, later on, she just dies for no reason at all. She's
No.
not.
Well, it's because she of hatred.
Because she's sad.
She's sad. It's a broken heart. She
But
died of a broken heart.
But she
that
does.
she really was an enabler of. Like
Yeah.
all these crazy signs, like I just eliminated a race of people. All right,
Yeah.
all right,
I
let's
killed them all.
It's
That-
okay.
That should be a sign.
Right.
You know? That should be it.
Um,
If Lexi ever came home and said, "I kill you all," do you think it's over?
God, I'd really have to consider who she killed.
Okay.
man, that's true love, you
Yeah,
guys.
true love.
So Obi-Wan goes and tracks down General Grievous
Mm-hmm.
in his place, and they decide to have a one-on-one fight, still surrounded by people.
Yeah.
Which, okay, like that's a movie thing, whatever. And then General Grievous loses 2 of his 4 arms, and they're still like, no, let's see how he does in this one. I think things will be okay. He wanted to take this one on his own. Like at a certain point.
Like, nah, screw you, master. We're gonna help. We're just gonna,
Right.
yeah.
Anything. They're supposed to be bad guys. Like, why not do that? And then there's a point where they do close-ups of both of their eyes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
really-
That
which-
very good and bad,
just-
the ugly.
It looks, it's
It's
like,
really weird.
or like maybe Kill Bill came out right around that time,
Yeah.
and George was like, "Oh, that would be cool." But also, one of them is a close up on General Grievous's eyes, his animated, lifeless eyes. I don't know. And then, so then, Palpatine reveals himself to Anakin.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, hey, wait a minute. How do you know so much about the dark side of the Force?
Wait.
Hold on. And then he's like, oh, wait, you're that mean man?
That thing that was so abundantly clear to everyone but the Jedi?
Is it supposed to be a big moment? Because it's played like that's a big revealing moment.
I have no idea, but like you could peg him from like episode 1.
Right. Exactly. And I think you kind of, I don't know. Because it feels weird, because it seems like everything's done with kind of a wink towards it throughout. But I don't know if they're just really bad at foreshadowing it.
I don't know. Like any sort of big reveal in all of these prequels was really like just half-assed.
Right.
Whereas like the Padme coming out as the queen reveal is like what? Well, either of course or like that's really not well executed.
Uh-huh.
So probably just more excellent writing.
So then Anakin's like, okay, I'll do this. And he's like, no, you're bad and I'm good. So I'm going to go tell. And he goes and tells Mace Windu about it. And then how far into this movie did you get?
So I got past code 66.
Okay. So
And then what's after that? We can just keep on going and
Right.
So
so then they go into the throne room, and it's Mace Windu and a team of Jedi against Palpatine.
mm-hmm.
And he goes and he takes care of them all, basically.
Yeah.
And Mace Windu tells him that we're gonna put you on trial in front of the Senate. You got to turn your mic on, Trey.
Just one more thing before I really have to go.
Okay.
I love the story that Samuel L. Jackson said that if he dies in Star Wars, he didn't want to go out like a bitch.
Oh yeah.
And so that's why he went out like that.
That's why he flies off.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of a cool death. Anakin decides he's like, oh, I'm gonna help. And then
Well, it's cool, and then he goes and ruins it by being a little baby about it.
right. And then Palpatine does the lightning thing.
Yeah.
And does the like cartoon face morph,
Yeah. Where
which
all of it, it's all of a sudden, it looks like a claymation. Yeah, like a claymation and it like transition almost.
yeah, and the movie a ton of times has big significant moments followed by really corny bad dialogue, especially at the end.
Yeah.
Which you kind of miss, but
No, but like the Anakin, whenever he's like, oh, why did I do that?
Right.
I'm such a stupid idiot.
Right. So they go and Palpatine goes like infinite power, and then he's just like, yeah, oh, what have I done?
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Right.
And so he does that, and he's like, what have I done? And he kind of feels bad about it, but he knows it's what he truly wants. And then immediately Palpatine's like, okay, so you're my underling now, and I need you to go kill children. And he's like, yeah, okay. He's just like full Sith immediately.
Yeah.
Which should have been something that kind of built throughout the movies.
Right.
To where he becomes Darth Vader, or I don't know if there's something more immediate about Padme's death or something like that, where he has to start making these choices, I feel would also be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
If she's like dying and he's like, no, I need to find out how to reverse death.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of gets too far in.
Yeah, it's really strange the way that they develop so many things. Like his relationship with Padme takes like it's so obvious and heavy hand, like just like disgusting like flirtation for like an hour and a half, and then they're finally like, okay, yeah, we're gonna do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could have been done way quicker, so we don't have to deal with that mushiness.
Right.
And then all like this conflict, it's just like very, oh, why did I do that? Oh, why did I do that for so long? And then all of a sudden, full
I'm
speed
doing
ahead.
this. I'm doing this all the time now.
Yeah.
And just goes in and
Kill kids, you got it.
Right.
I'm Vader now.
So then execute Order 66. That whole long plan finally works out. One of the very first Jedi that they kill, she's on the, she's like a girl with like tentacle hair.
Yeah.
So they shoot her in the back, and then they shoot her like 1,000 more times. But it just goes kind of one by one, watching all the Jedi die, which is kind of long and kind of like, look at all these cool things. But then I guess it also is like, no, all the Jedi are going to be dead. By the end of this, Yoda's able to stop it because he's the only one who's just not surrounded by clones.
Yeah.
At the time. And then the Wookiees go and they just kind of take him into the woods and pull some branches off this like escape pod, which is in a planet of Wookiees, perfect size for Yoda.
Just in case.
Yeah.
You have to send a baby Wookiee
somewhere else. But it was also so bad, just like a pile of sticks in the woods covering up an escape pod.
Advanced technology, but just sticks covering it.
Right. So then Emperor Palpatine goes to the Senate floor and is like, "No, what we need is an empire now." And nobody's like, well, he's kind of like, the Jedi attacked me, and so now we need full power, and that's why my face is all fucked up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. We all know. But he talks about a safe and secure society, which, if heroes on both sides didn't give it away, Trump's it basically sounded like a Trump speech.
Yeah.
At the end.
But I forget, the Senate somehow did not know that every Jedi was getting massacred yet?
Yeah,
or?
he said that Mace Windu came in and tried to attack me and did all this.
Yeah.
So
just
everybody's cool with it.
Yeah, an uninformed Senate,
right?
Just acting with their heart. Yeah,
giving more power.
Sure.
So then Obi-Wan goes over to Padme and is like, "Hey, I have some bad news about Anakin. He murdered a bunch of kids." And then just kind of shows it to her, and she's
again.
yeah, right. She's like, "Oh, he's a child murderer again."
Yeah, I know.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So then they're like, Senator or Admiral Organa or whatever, whoever Leia's dad's supposed to be, Jimmy Smits.
Yeah.
She's getting on her plane to go somewhere, and she's like, "No, you need to stay. You have to be safe." And she says, "Don't worry, 3PO will look after me."
Yep.
And then they're like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yep. True.
Don't worry about it.
A-
C-3PO is gonna...
A robot designed to help mom slave around the house will protect the princess. Or the senator, rather.
Right. So then they fly to the planet, and Padme has her big talk with Anakin, and it's just like, oh no, that had to have been wrong. They told me you went to the dark side, and then Anakin's like, you turned her against me. And she's like, oh, Anakin, you're breaking my heart. And so then he just decides to choke her and throw her away.
The one, like, he joins the dark side to keep her from dying,
Right.
And then he tries to kill her.
Yeah, straight up chokes her. He
Yeah.
also talks about how Obi-Wan was only holding him back, and now I'm the strongest Jedi in the world. I'm the biggest. I'm gonna be more powerful than anybody who is ever in history. And then he goes out and gets his ass kicked by Obi-Wan, who by all means is kind of just like a middling Jedi.
Yeah.
So while this is happening, the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight is going on, and then at the same time they bring Yoda in, and they have a fight with Palpatine, and they cut back and forth between them. So you have one like big emotional fight going on, and then one where they're like one CGI and one just like awful makeup dude throwing chairs at each other using the Force. And it's really bad. Like,
And you know that they're in the next trilogy.
Right. So no one died. You know that
So-
no one's gonna die.
Right.
It's so, like, at least there's importance to them in the world of the movie, to the Obi-Wan
Yes.
Anakin fight because of that emotion that I talked
Right.
about earlier. Because all he does is Obi-Wan throughout the whole movie is saying how he like doesn't give him enough credit and how
Right.
he really cares about him and all this stuff. And then now it's finally boiled down to the point where he's betrayed him or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just go off, and then Yoda's just like
second fight.
fighting on flying chairs.
Like they already gave everyone the Yoda fight. Like,
Right.
okay, we could see Yoda fight finally.
Right.
You don't need to do it again. There's no purpose to add that in there.
And then Yoda just kind of decides that he lost his fight and is like, no, I need to go off into isolation
Yeah.
because I've failed. So then they kind of leave that and they go
maybe the reason to add the fight is to give Yoda a reason to go into isolation, but you could say he was so just disappointed in the fact that he let Anakin get as far as he did without realizing
right.
that he was not, going to bring balance.
Uh-huh.
You could say that is why he goes into isolation, not that he just loses a fight.
Right. It's so bad. There's a perfect metaphor for these movies. There's one point in the fight where Anakin and Obi-Wan are standing right next to each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just spinning their lightsabers around themselves
Yeah.
without actually like hitting each other. And I feel like that's just like the perfect metaphor for these movies, where it's like all show and like no
Right.
like it's dancing all around what the true point
Yeah.
of the movie is.
Yeah.
And it's
I went back and read before we talked about episode 1, a review for episode 1, and it was like story and bad acting aside, you can't like sell the visual spectacle short. It's like, yeah, you can,
right.
because in an industry where like visual effects are progressing so rapidly, you can't make a movie that is entirely about the spectacle, because it will look outdated in 5-10 years.
Yeah, I wonder if looking at Avatar now,
Yeah,
about how well that holds
I don't
up.
know. I never saw Avatar, but from what I heard, that the story was just a very like cookie cutter story.
Yeah.
So if it doesn't look outdated now, it will.
Right.
And that's why it's not talked about in a regard that like actual like movies that are just better developed from a story standpoint.
Yeah. So Obi-Wan and Anakin are fighting, and then Obi-Wan says, I have failed you. And it's this big emotional thing, and Ewan McGregor does great with it.
Yeah.
And then Hayden Christensen responds saying, from my point of view, it's the Jedi who are evil, which is just like, what the hell? Like, why are you ruining? Every single time there's a moment that's like, whoa, that's cool and that's good. Hayden Christensen is coming in with something just so bad and lame right after.
I mean, part of you wants to blame Hayden Christensen for delivering it poorly,
right?
But also, he's given terrible dialogue to work with.
Yeah,
like there's plenty of time. Obviously, he is bad and gave a bad performance. But what terrible, like, just hits you in the face with bricks for dialogue.
Yeah. So Obi-Wan he gets the high ground, chops him up, and then Obi-Wan gives another great speech. You were the chosen one. You were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not destroy or whatever. And then he says, I hate you! Which is, it's just like, oh, God. Not even like a cool, like, bad guy response. He's just...
Yeah.
And then he leaves him, which I get, because it's like he's sad. He's sad that he had this guy that he kind of cared about as a son.
Right.
He says that we were brothers, Anakin, and all that kind of stuff. And so he leaves him. He's on fire next to a lava pit.
Yeah.
Without 3 limbs. It's pretty, like, it makes sense, I guess. And so then he leaves, goes back, and Padme's having the babies. And they're like, there's a robot comes out and says, "Oh, we don't see anything wrong with her, but she's just dying." So it's just like losing the will to live or whatever. She gives birth to the 2 babies, and they have a scene where they go and she gives birth to the baby. They hold it in front of her, and she's like, "Luke," and the other one comes out, "Leia." Like, why does she need to name the babies?
Yeah, that's not important at all.
Like, you can just see the babies and know who they are. There's a lot of, like, telling and not showing in these movies.
Yeah,
that are just really, really bad.
They just wanted to they really just thought, oh, the audience is going to go crazy for just hearing these names.
Right.
Say, oh, these are the twins, Luke and Leia.
Right.
Ugh,
it's so frustrating. So then the Emperor picks up Darth Vader, and they go and they build his suit and everything, which they have immediately. It's like sized up to his specifications. He's ready to go.
Wait. The suit we were working on, we need to turn it into like 70% animatronic.
And then there's another great moment followed by just a terrible when the Emperor is like, he's like, "What happened to Padme?" Which is really funny in James Earl Jones's voice. For whatever reason. And then he's like, "Well, in your anger, it seems you killed her," which is a great, like, manipulative moment. And so that can kind of be like why he's angry all the time from that point, if he believes that he killed the only thing that he loved.
But, like, it's crazy to think that anger would lead him just to be like, I should just continue doing what I've been doing because that's what makes me sad.
Yeah. The only reason he wanted to join the dark side of the Force was to stop her from dying.
Right.
And then she dies.
Because of him. So
right.
He thinks.
And then it only just, like, makes him want to join the dark side more.
Yeah.
And then you get the no, which is so bad.
Yeah.
And in newer versions, I'm pretty sure they cut it out.
Yeah?
Yeah, they just don't do that part of the movie anymore.
Well, they leave the Wilhelm scream in there earlier on, so that's great.
Yeah.
Does every the first 2 did not have any Wilhelms, but this one did. Is that like, because it's also in
A New Hope, I believe,
and it's in like Raiders of the Lost Ark. or like one of the Indiana Jones at least.
Right.
Is that why is he always Wilhelm?
Well, he does that, and then he also does his, at least in the Star Wars movies, the wipe transitions.
Yes, which like I'm fine with that was like it was kind of maybe novel at the time,
Right.
and now it's just kind of part of the whole aesthetic.
But
so I'm fine with that.
He does full screen wipes, which are fine, and I'm cool with that. But at one point in this movie, he's just doing checkerboard wipes
Yeah,
and
that's
like
weird.
blind wipe. Like he's just going through his Windows Movie Maker and just like, I'm going to use all of these. There's not a
this
reason.
one's cool.
Yeah,
It's not like a new technology. It's just like we're going to do I don't know stars.
right. It's bad. But so then they go and kind of justify Jimmy Smits being there the entire time by having him adopt Leia.
Yeah, which is like so messed up. Leia gets to be a princess.
Right.
And they're like, Luke,
You're a moisture farmer.
moisture farm.
Well, yeah, because they have to split them up because otherwise it would be way too easy for Darth Vader
Yeah.
to find them.
Have to
even
split
though he
them up.
finds neither of them.
Yeah, have to split them up. So Leia, you're princess. Luke, you're going to moisture farm with Vader's family.
Right. The only family he has left will leave you with him, and he's like, oh, I guess that guy, he just had a kid. And then they go off and they're looking off in the distance, and the Luke Skywalker music starts playing, and it ends. Overall, I think this is probably the best one, mostly just like I mean, I don't know, I've brought it up a bunch, but the Ewan McGregor stuff, he's so good in this movie, and he's kind of been actively campaigning for an Obi-Wan solo film.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be.
Right. I mean, like he's a well-liked character, and I thought his performance was, like you said, like one of the few bright spots of the original trilogy. But it is hard to. We saw so much of his. We saw him as a Padawan. We saw him with like Anakin.
Right.
And God knows you're not going to do anything with Anakin.
Right.
So you're not going to get any additional backstory there. So I guess you could see what he did between 3 and 4.
Yeah, I guess.
But
he's on the same planet, just kind of hanging out. I guess they could branch him off to do whatever, but it feels like anything that he would do, Vader would know about.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems I just don't know what it would be. I don't know what they would do with it.
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not Lucas writing it, I'm sure they could come up with something clever. You know,
right.
There's people paid to do that. So,
right. So we've gotten through the worst part of it. I would say.
I would think so. Yeah.
And
we're not watching. We're going 4, 5, 6. We're not doing any of. We're not doing Rogue One. Right?
I don't know if we're gonna do Rogue One just because we may not have time.
Yeah.
And because that's kind of just like a side story.
Yeah. Oh, but more. They did like the Clone Wars was like an entire animated series with Obi, right?
Right.
So they could just do like a live action version of some of those stories, I guess.
I guess. I don't know. Have you ever watched any of the Clone Wars stuff? I haven't either. It's supposed to be really good.
Yeah.
It's just something that I haven't gotten to.
Yeah.
What did you think of this movie? I know you didn't watch
this
all
one.
of it.
From what I saw, I'd probably still give it. I'd give it between 2.5 to 3 laughs and a half.
Yeah, I think 2.5 is probably about right.
Yeah.
Because
it's still So there's so many just story and character flaws, but
right. I do think it's unfair after watching these that people kind of just like make grand statements about the prequels.
Right.
Because there's really one really, really bad
Right.
one and 2 movies that I think are passable movies.
Yeah. I think it's just because the franchise as a whole is held in such high regard.
Right.
That anything short of like, a masterpiece or anything short of just like a classic movie, it will be laughed at because it's just people like to crap on stuff that's hyped up.
Right. Yeah, and there's going to be more eyes on this than Blade Runner 2049. There's just
Right.
not going to be as many people looking for reasons to shit on it.
Right. And one thing I've thought about as we've been going through and doing these first 3 reviews is everything we've been talking about is dissecting what's wrong with it.
Right.
Which is again, I guess, a symptom of going in knowing these are bad movies.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously, like, our other movie reviews are typically talking about what we liked about it, and
Right.
then talking about a couple things that we thought could have been better. This has been overwhelmingly what's wrong with it, but there are still things that make it, a decent movie.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about them is that is the universe. Like, for everything that George Lucas did wrong, he's responsible for creating
Right.
this universe, and like lightsabers as a concept are really cool.
Right.
And seeing that for the first time would be pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
like the world outside of a galactic senate and
Right.
all that boring stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting sort of things
Yeah.
that just kind of get lost in the shuffle because they were done. It's just an expansion on original concepts that were made.
Yeah. Once you
Years
once
ago.
you like blow up the scope like they did, we're obviously like it's like the 70s, so things are not as grandiose.
Right.
So you get to really hone in on a couple of cool ideas that can be pretty revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you're constantly trying to do that again and again and again, you get scenes like Dooku running away on a lame motorcycle,
Right.
getting chased by these huge ships,
Right.
and like it's like, okay, this is not what this franchise is about.
Yeah.
It's you start to like lose your kind of touch, really.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I think that will probably be it for today's show. Spencer, where can people find your things?
You can find me in Richardson, Texas.
All right, if you go grocery shopping, there's a good chance that Spencer may be there.
Lexi, you got any Twitter questions?
No.
No Twitter questions. Adam, where can folks find you?
I am on Twitter at the Fullerton. I have shows this week.
Oh, and they're funny, guys.
Oh,
Funny.
I have funny shows this Wednesday at Dallas Comedy House at 9 p.m. This Friday at Dallas Comedy House at 10:30 p.m. if you're looking for something to do this Thanksgiving weekend. And exciting news, haven't told many people this, I am going to be doing the Steel Stacks Improv Festival in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania this
Holy
January.
what?
Yeah. So if anybody lives in the Waco of Pennsylvania, feel free to come on out and check out my show.
That's Trump country for sure.
Oh yeah, it's literally in an old factory that no longer works. Like an old abandoned factory is where this venue is.
Wait, so I'm not familiar. Is this a big festival? Is this a popular comedy festival?
I don't think so, but I submitted to a bunch of festivals, so this is the first one that we've gotten into.
So you're headlining.
And so, yep. The headliners are apparently a bunch of people that wrote for like 30 Rock and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
it should be fun.
There's some decent clout. I didn't recognize any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Like any of the troops for being great, but I don't know. It seems interesting, and I'm very excited to go.
And when is it?
That is January 27th, I want to say.
All right,
January
Lexi.
27th.
We're going to Philly and then driving to Bethlehem.
Yeah, take a good old flight to Philly and then drive 2 hours to Bethlehem. There's a skull museum there.
Like skull chewing tobacco?
Oh no, like the bones that keep your brains.
So not a museum. A museum, but not like a natural history museum or anything. Just like this is all about just the skull.
Just a collection of skulls.
Like phrenology or
I don't know. I'll let you know once I get back.
Send me some snaps.
All right, will do. That's it for Super FilmsCast 64 for this week. If you want to find us, go to YouTube and you can look us up there. And what should they do? Spencer?
There's a little red rectangular button. It says subscribe. Smash it.
Yeah, you gotta smash the subscribe
Smash
button,
that
you guys.
subscribe button.
And I don't know, what else does Trey usually say here? You guys, I apologize that we're not gonna be on a new feed for a while, but we're gonna be there.
It's really
eventually.
complicated.
Don't worry, it is. So
It
we're
is,
gonna get on a new feed.
Gonna
soon,
get
probably.
Baron to do this. He's great with cyber. He's great with cyber.
But anyway, bye.
Bye.